All right, so here we have a prism that has been fully cured. It's actually about 12 hours old. We can see that it's solid at this point. Now, we could have taken the form out as quickly as probably an hour to hour and a half after we had rolled it up. But basically, I let this one sit for 12 hours. But the practice would be is after, say, 30 to 60 minutes or so, you should be able, you won't hear that sort of a hollow sound, but you should definitely feel resistance with regards to the JRCSA, and it's set up now to the point that you could remove the form. So removing the form requires those clusters of hinges, basically the centerpiece, to be knocked out or knocked in. And you can do that by hand, but it's sometimes a little easier with just a little stick or something that has a little bit of mass to it. But now we can take our form out from the inside. So here's our form without the plastic. So we can set that aside and be ready to reuse that. Then again, I would say to let this still sit for 6 hours to 12 hours, usually overnight's the easiest, before you take the plastic off. But again, this has already been sitting for 12 hours. And then at this point, you can take the plastic off the outside. Set the plastic aside. And then we can take our plastic out of the inside by pretty much just pulling it away from the sides on both ends. Now sometimes it will get hung up on a little piece of cement that got worked through a hole, but usually what I'll do is I'll twist that and eventually it should come right out. And of course, all of those get reused, can be reused many times. Some of the ones I have been used upwards of 40 plus times, so definitely reusable. Now what you see is some very loose, thin layers of CSA that have been left on the outside. Now I'm using my hands because this isn't fully cured yet, so this material is still not that resistant to being pushed on. But if you let this sit for another 24 hours or so, or even at this point, you really should be wearing gloves, and more likely leather gloves, because these edges can get quite sharp. But you can remove that material, or you don't have to. But at this point now, you can see here's our prism. See all the way down through there. Here's the top two sides. And then here's our bottom side. This is the one that is solid. This is the one that we put our excess material onto. And then this, when it sets out in the field, tends to literally get locked into the bottom. It's very difficult actually to pull up on it unless you go for an extended period of pulling. Now at this point, what we would do, depending on whether we're going to fill these with shell or if these were just going to maintain empty, is to put an end piece in here using a triangular form that sits on the end, and then we would fill it with shell and then put another cap on the other side, and I'll do that in another video.